Hello and welcome to coverage of the Super Sunday Series Championship. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Nate Price, and we are underway in round 2. This is round 8 of the tournament, second round of the draft on day 2 here, and War Name Aspirant is the first play of the game for Oscar Christensen. Luis Salvatto, well, he's got a 2-1 of his own here, though it's a Jeskai Wind Scout.
A little battling 2-1s. Christensen's on the draw, but it's kind of nice when you're on the draw to be able to put that 2-power creature down before your opponent manages to land their first 2-power creature.
Yeah, Luis has no thoughts of blocks, though. He's battling, and wow, you can see why Mardu Heartpiercer, doing its best impersonation of a Flame Tongue Kavu, doing 2 damage to kill the War-Named Aspirant. And a decent follow-up play here with Mardu Warshrieker. But unfortunately for Oscar, I think his dream would have been attack, play this thing, maybe play another thing, and he's not going to be able to do that this time. The good news for him, though, is that the 3/3 Warshrieker does a nice job holding off the Heartpiercer, so could stem the bleeding pretty nicely here.
Yeah, this leaves Salvatto still able to attack in the air. That's one of the reasons that this teamer deck and blue-green to a lesser extent.
How about on the ground, too? Yeah. Take 5. So that was Bring Low to kill the Warshrieker and keep the beats flowing here for Luis Salvatto.
A nice gallery of cards we're used to thus far. Nice Kanzatar Kier cards. Let's keep it rolling with the most successful, winningest card in all Kanzatar Kier draft, Armament Core.
Nice. That is a lofty title indeed. And it looks like Jeskai Wind Scout's going to attack, but Luis wants to maximize damage. So he's going to play Ambush here, which is going to get him 2 Manifest creatures off the top of his library. Now that is an instant speed card, but he wanted to make sure to get that Prowess trigger, and he valued that higher than any type of surprise he would get from Ethereal Ambush. He's also got another in his hand. His board state is going to get very wide very quickly.
Christensen uses a Tormenting Voice to fill up his hand, or I guess trade away cards that he might not need.
I can't see exactly what he discarded there, but... Well, this isn't going to deter him, though. He's got Luis Salvatto on a 3-turn clock, and he's going to take it. Although Salvatto is actually just going to chump block here.
Doesn't need that mountain, apparently.
Interesting.
So Mardu Horde Chief's going to come down and make him an additional 1/1 warrior token. So Christensen's got a little bit more on the ground. And that 2/3 body on the Horde Chief is actually pretty strong against Manifest.
It is, yeah. I mean, sure, it could be a creature, but I think you take your chances there.
Almost certainly. So Salvatto's still got the big offense there in the air. Yeah, wow.
Does this remind you of anything?
I might have. Did we? Is this a glitch in the Matrix or something?
So another Ethereal Ambush here is going to net 2 more Manifests. Now, one of them he actually can turn face up, though I don't know that he will. It was a Dragon's Eye Savants. He either, I don't know if he has a blue card in hand, but even if he did, I wonder if he'd rather just have a 2/2 creature rather than a big blocker here. It's not like it even gets away in the Armament Core effectively.
Yeah, it's 6 power versus that 6 toughness. Is not, math doesn't work in Salvatto's favor. But
right.
At the same time, the biggest part of that Soul Summons, it's just 2 more creatures to help clog up that board while the Jeskai Wind Scout does what it does best, reduce opponent's life total to 0.
God, and Salvatto's got to be looking at just starting to attack here, too. I mean, on the ground as well, just say, okay, fine, eat a Manifest creature, whatever.
Force through an extra 4 points of damage. His life total's so high. If you can get Christensen's to one attack or 2 attacks dead. Yeah,
he seems very concerned about taking the 6 here from Oscar Christensen, but he's got a lot of life total to play with here.
Very interested to see what he does. He's got looks like a Hooting Mandrills and a Highland Game in his hand right
correct,
there.
Yeah. Only 1 green mana source currently. He's going to chump block again.
That also explains, I think he might be, not that he needs the additional mana to, but filling up his graveyard with creatures to be able to delve back.
Well, Christensen did get to live that dream he wanted to earlier. It was just a lot later than he anticipated, but there's Mardu Warshrieker into Morph, a play that we've seen a lot from Kanzatar Kier as well.
Alright, Salvatto draws. We know that was his draw for the turn. Gains himself an additional life off the Sweetwater Crest. The Swiftwater Crest. Alright, Wind Scout is going to continue to do what it does. Christensen is officially 4 turns, barring a Prowess trigger away from death.
Right, and so still only on the 1 green source, it's going to be the Hooting Mandrills, but Luis has aggressively traded off his creatures chump blocking the Armament Core. He's now chump blocked twice.
And combat is actually really favorable on the ground on his side of the table right now. Like, the Armament Core is the one big, beefy guy that he's got to worry about. The rest of his creatures match up really nicely with the rest of Christensen's board. And
Well, the manifests do run into the 3/3s and the 2/3s over there, but yeah, the mandrels is fine.
But even being able to trade off a 2/2 instead of a 2/3 for a 3/3, or like losing, like you're going to be able to trade off a double block and trade one of your creatures for one of your opponent's creatures, and you're perfectly fine with that when you're padded this high.
Yeah, it looks like he's had enough.
Yeah.
No more chump blocking for Salvatto. He's going to take on some risk here and triple block. And that is going to have him lose potentially a manifest and a mandrels, though it looks like this is getting flipped up for its mana cost, and that means that he's only going to lose his mandrels in the equation here.
It's a pretty good trade for him. I'll trade my 4/4 for your 6/6.
Not too bad. Yeah, I mean, the Dragon's Eye Savant isn't doing much else outside of just blocking on the ground from this point, but...
Exactly. Now it gives him a blocker effectively. That might as well be an additional removal spell for the largest creature on Christensen's side of the table.
Yeah, he's very much on the Jeskai Wind Scout plan, as that seems to be the most important creature left on the battlefield at the moment.
I know this is among your favorite strategies in Limited. Like, I'm big on it too. Put a guy with a big button away, and then have your flyers and your evasive guys just completely get your opponent.
Speaking of it,
oh, hello.
Here's Hooded Hydra being flipped up. Now that Dragon's Eye Savant looks a lot better now that his opponent has a 5/5.
The question is it too late for that? Is that Wind Scout going to be able to finish him off?
Totally. That Hydra is a nice card, but it is not going to do it.
It's nothing worse than having something big and flashy like that, only to turn around and find out that it actually has no impact on the game.
Right.
Well, let's see, though. I mean, there is always the possibility. Christensen does have a large number of sweet things in his hand, or in his deck. We do know his Dune Blast costs 7, am I correct? So he's 1 mana away from potentially being able to cast it, although it looks like he is going to have to draw a land and it. I don't believe it's the card that's in his hand.
Well, that's a tall order.
Yeah.
Barrage of boulders. And thanks to the Alpine Grizzly, it is on.
This is exactly how Salvatto won game 1 of his last match, playing against Adrian Sullivan.
Christensen's going to scoop?
Yep.
That's interesting.
Well, he had a 4-power creature in play.
I know, but I make him attack. He had a bunch of mana untapped and a card in his hand. Like, there's things that can go wrong there for Salvatto.
Chooses to make the incorrect attack.
I mean, do you remember what happened last match?
Yes.
It involved
Harm
a
might have been
white
channeled.
card and 6 mana. I would definitely make my opponent actually attack me there or figure that out. I mean, look, you're going to lose. He's going to do it. But
yeah.
You never know. People make crazy plays in those scenarios. I'm definitely not scooping quite yet.
No, I'm definitely a big fan of the never concede, make your opponent kill you line of things.
I like you, Nate Price.
I mean, I've lost matches because I didn't make the correct decision when I needed to.
Yeah.
And like my opponent looked to be down on board. I thought that because he looked dead on board, I made an incorrect play. I ended up losing for it. This might have happened last night against Rashad. But yeah, make your opponent follow through. The point of the game is to kill your opponent, right?
Yeah, there's always a lot of things that the players can have in situations like that, especially when a new set's out. And you got to make them do it.
And this is a new set. Like, players just had access to these cards for a week, and so I don't know how many reps you can actually put in that amount of time based on what you get from pre-releases and such. Cards didn't even go on, weren't even available for anything of purchase till this weekend, I believe. So, all right. Looks like we're going to have an opportunity to look into the start of the other match we've got going on right now, Fute versus Gautier Lam. All right. I love a Hordeling Outburst.
Card's great.
Right into Being, another good card. Had a lot of discussion about that card, whether or not it's just strictly better than like a morph that isn't, like, obviously, it's one of the best plays that you can make on turn 3. The card selection is just incredibly important starting the game off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not willing to go to strictly, but I think it's better than a morph.
Yeah.
Yeah, the card selection you get and the fact that you will often hit a creature with it, given the fact that you're choosing from 2, means that, yeah, I like that card. Right into Being's quite strong.
I'm not going to be upset at you. All right.
So a bit of a slow start here compared to what we saw before. Kamui K starting things off with a morph, and I think we are going to see the card you like. There it is, Hordeling Outburst.
Dun, da, da, da.
And it looks great here.
No, it really does. I've yet to live the dream of having Hordeling Outburst in the same deck as the Orc Sure Shot, I think the card's called. Getting to machine gun my opponent's team down with the 3 triggers.
That's not right. That's mean.
I've seen the cards, been in the same deck, never actually pulled it off. But. All right, looks like all 3 are going to jump in the way of K's Morph. Perfectly fine. Willing to trade. I can't imagine what he would have that would result. I mean, so he's going to pay 2. Is this going to be a feat? It is going to be a feat of resistance. So.
All right. So that looks pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's a 1-for-1.
Yeah.
You know,
in reality,
which is good. I mean, that's totally fine. It's an absolutely acceptable outcome. But it is easy to go, wow, and it's like, wait, no, it was just a card for a card.
This is one of those situations where the play is made, and I think both players are actually kind of
They're
okay
both like
with the outcome.
Shrug, yeah. I mean, I think it speaks to how good Hordeling Outburst can be when you're so super relieved you only had to use 1 card to get rid of all the tokens, you know.
Wholeheartedly true.
And that's a play that you'll see quite a bit too from Lam there. You know, he blocked in that scenario, and as you saw, that was the only thing that Kamui did for his turn. That was it.
Yep.
You know, and it mattered, but it wasn't that much. Ooh.
Here's another limited all-star, Sandblast.
Yeah.
And just the card deals 5 damage to an attacking or blocking creature, which is basically enough to kill.
This is risky
almost
business,
anything.
though, from Lam. I mean, this could be a War Behemoth pretty easily. He gets away with it.
Ooh.
Oh. He didn't have enough mana to flip up his Woolly Loxodon. But that could have been a Pine Walker.
Yep.
And it would not have died. Glacial Stalker
There's
wouldn't have
a lot of
died.
stuff.
Although I don't know if he's got an island. Yeah, no island. But Pine Walker, I mean, jeez.
So he fought.
Lamb gets away with it, though.
K now has an Archers of Karsi in play.
Is that the 5/2?
That is the 5/2 Defender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And reach.
It does have reach.
Yeah.
It kills things. That's what it does. But on an empty board, it's kind of unfortunate to have to play a defender when you could be the first person to get on the offensive side of the ball.
Totally. Oh, there's right into being the card we just mentioned a minute ago, and the card goes back on top. Never what you want to see if you're in K's side of the table, but in the meantime, Manifest sits there.
If you played during Theros at all, anytime your opponent scried and put the card back on top of their library, it was always one of those, I wonder what's coming up.
All right, and it looks like K is going to take the opportunity. Oh, very nice. He's going to get rid of that Seeker of the Way that was manifested using Debilitating Injury. He felt like the coast was clear enough to go for it. I think I agree.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to let your opponent untap with 5 mana where now all of a sudden you can flip up something much bigger. All right, why don't we jump over to our main match again? It looks like they're back underway here. We find
It's
Luis Salvatto up a game against Oscar Christensen. Luis is going to start things off a little slow here. Or is he?
yeah,
So that's bolster 3, right?
It is. Yeah.
And it turns out that the creature that he controlled with the lowest toughness was 6.
The best
And
part,
now he's made a 3/9.
Dragon Savants is one of those.
Oh no! Straight up 2 for 1.
Oh man.
Wow, suppression field definitely met the requirements.
And here it is. Like the cool thing about Dragonite Savants, it gets compared to Monastery Flock a lot. Monastery Flock's got Defender, and little known fact, Dragonite Savants doesn't. It looks like it should because it's an 06.
It's a raid enabler.
It is. All right.
All right, so there's a Yeti for Luis Salvatto as he passes a turn back, and Christensen finally finds his 3rd land, though. It's a little awkward. What was that? Arc Lightning, maybe? Barrage of Boulders?
Okay.
All right, so he
That's a good
Barrage
way to
of
play the
Boulders to
board.
get rid of the Sandstep Outcast and the Friend.
Salvatto has 2 copies after sideboarding of that Barrage of Boulders. He's used them to great effect thus far. I mean, that card's got to be his MVP. All right, Outpost Siege. Would imagine at this point right here that you obviously choose Khan, which allows you to exile the top card of your library during your upkeep, and you can play that card until end turn. So it's similar to Chandra Pyromaster's 0 ability.
Exactly, he needs action. This Hungering Yeti as a 4/4, that's all it is on the battlefield, is doing serious work and just crunching into Oscar Christensen's life total, which is now 10.
All right, so the Marty War.
That's not going to do it either. The 4/4 Hungering Yeti is going to be able to bash right through that and drop Oscar down to 6 here. It's getting close, but you got to feel like if Oscar can just hang on for another turn or two, that outpost siege is going to take over the game.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough.
Oh
Salvatto's
no,
got
Bathe
removal
and
spells in this
Dragonfire.
field. Yeah.
I think you fire it off. Maybe not. This is an interesting decision. So the idea is, he is going to use it here, is if Christensen comes up with something bigger than your Yeti, you're going to wish you had Bathe and Dragonfire in your hand. But now, you know, Christensen's plan may have been to try to find, you know, 2 creatures.
Yeah.
And you're kind of keeping the tempo back on your side. Though, I think with that much mana, I may have just waited.
Yeah, because if he draws a 4/4,
Yeah.
like anything like that,
Exactly.
if he draws anything less, you still have the option available to you to Bathe and Dragonfire 1 and then attack with your 4/4.
Right, and I think the mana's not that important. All right, so
All right, Christensen's going to get himself
that's
a
interesting.
7th land.
that means that he's going to get to, he knows he's going to draw something that he can play, but it also means he's not going to hit a spell off the top of his library with his Outpost Siege. He's just going to get a land, but it's guaranteed.
He specifically went and got a forest.
Any thoughts on that?
Well, the question becomes at this point, like, does he? It's entirely possible. That is land number 7, and we were keeping track of Dune Blast.
I don't know if he wants the Doom Blast anymore. Now he's got 2 blockers.
One is a 2/1 and one is a 1/1 though.
Yeah, he's just chump blocking for a couple of turns, but again, that siege, I feel like each time he chumps, I mean, he's drawing effectively 2 cards a turn now.
Yeah.
He's up to 6 mana. He's going to have 7 the next turn off of that card off the top, and he can just start playing both of them. He's basically going to start drawing on average at least 1 spell per turn.
The good thing about the Anak guard is you put a land on top that he's going to get to put into play off of his outpost.
I know,
siege, so
but
he gets to dig a little bit
Well, but it
deeper.
means it's not a spell, though, right? Like,
True.
he also needs action. So by putting the land on top, like I said, it was guaranteed.
Sunset Macedon.
Oh!
Okay. That is one of those double green cards that I would expect. That comes into play, and it's going to bolster 5.
It's going to bolster 5. Yeah, it's 7 mana for a 5/5 reach. And when it enters the battlefield, you bolster 5.
So now he has a 7/6 War Name Aspirant and a 5/5 reach to turn around and block that Yeti.
How's that race coming along for you there, Luis Salvatto? It looks like Oscar may have turned it on you.
we
He's
like to call
actually
the
got
breaks.
lethal right here. Right?
Oh, how the tides have turned.
7, 8.
Wow.
Oh, no, he's 1 short. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No, it is, right?
It's 7 and 5 is 12.
It's not quite.
Yeah.
Interesting. Salvatto blocks anyway.
Well, he does have a pony
Ride
back
down?
brigade on top of his deck, so and that is a
Ride
ride
down it is.
Wow. All right. Salvatto drops to 1.
Oh,
Salvatto
but he's got
drops
War
to
Flare
0.
too.
All right.
I was going to say that ride down might be a little ambitious. Like, he's already chump blocking.
Yeah.
You do get the damage through that way, but he's going to kill him next turn anyway. But now it makes a lot more sense, War Flare, to finish him off. So Oscar Christensen
That's the
kind of put
episode.
on a show at the end there. And
No
remember,
joke.
he missed his 3rd land drop. Like, that happened that game.
That's the result you expect to see when you cast that War Flare,
Wow.
not what Costa ended up having to deal with last round.
That was great. Sandstep Mastodon.
All right, so looking back over the other game between Kay and Lam.
Now I've got a Noxious Dragon there for K. When that thing dies, he gets to smother, as we say. He gets to
Yes.
destroy a creature with converted mana cost 3 or less.
I can think of at least one reasonable target for it right now. No.
Does it start with A?
It might start with A. Falconer on the other side, although it looks like the Falconer is also the most reliable source of killing that Noxious Dragon. But as a
No,
4/5 with
that's
those
true.
2 counters on it, it's still big enough to kill and survive.
Yeah, it looks like Kamui's in a reasonable spot at 16 life. Isn't under, extreme duress here or anything from Lam. So
Agreed.
also, Lam looks like he's drawing a lot of lands.
This looks to be fairly reasonable in the game, too. Look at the size of Kay's graveyard.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Both of them.
All right. Curious as to what the morph is on Kay's side now. He's got 1 Obzon guy in the graveyard already. We've seen that Kay has a hooded Hydra, if I'm not mistaken, right? So,
He does. I don't know if he's got it in hand. There's a morph though.
yep.
Could it be?
One way to find out. Does he attack?
Smoke
with or
teller?
not? All right, 2 ways to find out. Lens of clarity? All right, 3 ways to find that.
I didn't count lens.
No one ever
No,
counts
I'm
lens.
just, it's off. All right, actually, the chances just went up sharply that it is a hooded hydra as it's battling here.
All right, looks like we're gonna
Now this block
on the
seems.
surface. All right,
Uh-oh.
thinking caps on. Kind of look through that graveyard. I don't see a hydra hiding in the graveyard, and his feat of resistance is in the graveyard. 1 at least.
If he blocks the dragon, he's effectively trading.
Yep. So we can block there, keep it alive.
But he could take a ton of damage this turn, maybe
Yep.
9.
Yep,
He's going to force the issue here, so he's going to trade with the Falconer and kind of do a morph check here. This is risky business. There's a lot of morphs that just eat that Misfire Weaver.
We named many of them last time.
Yeah, and there's even more.
Yeah.
You know, Obzon Guide now enters the fray.
Yep. And 5 mana. All right, that 6. So that's gonna be a Loxodon.
Yeah, it's a Loxodon then.
All right.
And Willy Loxodon certainly meets that criteria, and Lam has fallen woefully behind as the Noxious Dragon's trigger is going to take down the Obzon Falconer and leave Lam down to 12, but top decking and facing 7 power. So, well, Hordling Outburst is going to buy him a few turns. I don't know what he has in his deck, though, that can get him out of this, right? The Loxodon is going to just smash him here.
Well, let's see. I do have a long deck list here. I looked at K's, and it turns out K's not the one who's got the Hooded Hydra. That was in Christensen's deck. But what are we looking at? Yeah, there's 1,000 wins, which is a pretty
Actually,
reasonable
that
way
would
for
be-
Lam to get out of this.
Unfortunately, he just drew a Plains.
That's not 1,000 wins. Beyond that, he doesn't seem to have that much. He has a Citadel Siege. That's another fairly reasonable way to lock down those Loxodon.
Yeah, he drew one of his best cards, though here I don't think it's going to get the job done. He's still going to need more. The
Yeah.
Siege would do quite nicely here, thank you very much, and that would turn the race back in his favor. Oh,
wow.
kill shot.
All right.
Yeah, you're not going to get a better kill shot target than that, Kamui, so he's going to fire that off. One more chump block here on the Loxodon, and Lam has managed to keep his life total high thanks to that Hordling Outburst, but he needs something huge here.
Time to pull the Mr. Miyagi, rub your hands together, and touch the top of the deck. I do not think that that's going to do it. A Cunning Strike.
Oh, it is. Now, he can fire that off right now.
Yeah. Just draw himself a card. Let's see real fast what he's drawn.
Now, let's see what he draws with Cunning Strike before we go back to the other.
Yeah.
Treasure Cruise. Let's see what he's drawn
All
with
right.
Treasure Cruise before we go back to the other. Wow, this could be a huge turn for Lam.
1, 2, and 3. Oh, but
He-
even Surveyor.
He did, so he's actually well in this. All right, we'll jump back over and keep an eye on this match because they are underway in our main, and we want to keep an eye on that one.
Oh, hello. Shu Yun the Silent Tempest. Shu Yun the Silent Tempest.
Shuyun the Silent Tempest has shown up?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
3/2 prowess, and if you cast a non-creature spell, you can pay a red, white, either the hybrids, and then target creature gets double strike until end of turn.
Yeah.
It is capable of turning games on their heads very, very quickly.
Yeah, now in this case, it only was a 4/3 attacking on turn 4, as Salvatto used up his mana. It doesn't currently have the ability to activate Shuyun, but he's 1 red mana or 1 white mana away from doing it, and that Embodiment of Spring could go find it probably. Unfortunately for Oscar, the sad War Shrieker, though it's going to do a fine job here. It gets in the way of Shuyun quite nicely as long as he can't do the double strike thing.
Opts to pass the turn back.
Interesting. So it looks like he does want to crack the Embodiment of Spring here. He just decided to play nothing else.
And he does have a barrage of boulders in his hand also. Is that a sorcery or an instant?
It's a sorcery.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Although the threat of a potential double strike, she cannot pay for.
Nope.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. So
clearly
he's-
I need that land. So,
Yeah.
all right.
I don't know if he needs it. I think he just wants it. I mean, his other play wasn't too exciting this turn anyway. It was Dragon's Eye Savants,
Yeah.
which is okay here.
Yeah, it advances
uses
the
his
board
mana a
to
little
exactly
better.
where it is. I mean, he could have just cast it, right?
He could have
then
cast,
still popped
yes.
off.
I think he wants to actually play it face down as a morph, though. Ooh, Armament Core on turn 5. Curving into Armament Core is rough.
I think he no longer wants
Yeah,
to play
now he's going
face
to do
down.
the block and sack with the Embodiment of Spring here, I think.
Yeah.
Unless he's got something else.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would have waited to try to play that card face down.
Oh, he's got a response.
It's a Bring Low.
Well, it's actually not a response. It does 5 since it has counters on it. But Bring Low is going to take down the War Shrieker. So that was his plan for the turn. That makes sense.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
And now the Savants is going to come down to get in the way of the Armament Core.
I was thinking. Yeah, okay.
And he'll leave up his Embodiment of Spring as well. Yeah, he's going to want to use that this turn. I think he's got a Bear's Companion and a Hungering Yeti in his hand as well.
Yeah.
And he wants to start getting those cards out of his hand.
I've yet to see somebody flash in a Yeti, but it strikes me as being an incredibly awesome surprise play.
It'll happen here.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that. No one ever sees, like, it's not a combat trick I've expected.
No,
So
I mean, come on. The set's been out for 2 days. I haven't even drafted a Yeti yet.
I drafted a few more times.
Yeah, you've got about 10 more, 12 more drafts than I do.
Yeah.
All right, Teamer Charm off the top for Salvatto as well. But he's just going to kick things off with that Bear's Companion. And you got to love that play.
Yeah, Bear Buddy is so good. He's got 2 of those in his deck as well.
Oh,
so.
yeah, that card's fantastic. And that's also going to allow him to start going on the offensive with the Bear.
Yeah, and I mean, he might. Oh, if he can get to, he's not going to be able to double strike anybody with that Shuyan, unfortunately, due to his mana constraints right now. But
That's right.
the combination of Barrage of Boulders and Shuyan, should he ever get to that amount of mana, is basically going to end the game on the spot. Oh. It's going to have to be some serious digging. All right, so Christensen goes ahead and Suppression Fields away that Bear token.
So back to square one here for Salvatto. The good news is he's not under any pressure whatsoever. So both players are basically at what we call parity. They're in a situation where they're both scrambling to try to find a way to go over the top of their opponent and currently not able to do it. The second red mana did just come down though for Shuyun, so Shuyun can be active now. And actually some interesting things could happen if he finds another red mana source. Oh, I think we're Yeti in this turn, but you know he's also got the Teamer Charm. So.
Yeah. So the Barrage of Boulders that I saw, I think, was actually the Bring Low
Yes,
that he cast.
that's
so
correct.
He's not currently holding one of those. Cunning Strike, the Yeti. Christensen's been passing with cards in his hand
Yeah, here's a
for the
Yeti.
past few turns.
Yeah, he has, and it looks like he's finally hit his 8th mana, so he can play a Morph and even potentially have the ability to turn it face up. The Yeti does get him going again as far as the attacks go. So now his hand is double Teamer Charm as well.
All right. Christensen, we saw a Ponyback Brigade from him last time. I know he's got 2 in his list.
All right, well, Salvatto's going to find out, uh-oh, he got blocked by the Morph. Oh, it's Kintry Warden. Take that. Gotcha. Kintry Warden can do pretty good work against Teamer, as some of Teamer's threats are along the lines of the Yeti here, Woolly Lockston, on those type of things that don't have trample or evasion, and you can go into the late game with your Kintry Warden.
Well,
Now you got to be able to go over the top though when you get there, and that's kind of the question I have for Oscar Christensen at this point. You know, one card we've seen from him is the Outpost Siege, and that helps him go over the top. There's Cunning Strike. Cunning Strike's going to hit the Warden, I think. He's just going to force him to regenerate.
Let's see.
He's going to get a card out of the deal too. And Throttle to take down the Hungering Yeti. So down that goes. And again, we're at parity. Players just haven't seemed to be able to get it to a board state where they can go over the top of each other, maybe with a flyer or something really huge, anything along those lines. There just hasn't been that yet.
Main face throttle, surprisingly important here. We were chatting about this before coverage started today about casting instants at sorcery speed on your own turn to protect from something.
It was huge here. Teamer Charm gives +1/+1 when it has the fight scenario, and
it ends up not surviving still, but you can still counter the spell.
Yeah.
So, especially if he's going to be tapping down to 1 land left.
Totally.
All right, is that Shu Yun starting the attack?
He's attacking. I think he might just be willing to trade off Shu Yun with the armament core at this point.
At this point.
Yeah, because he can't actually Teamer Charm and activate Shu Yun. And now he's got Oscar tapped down to 1 land. He is going to use Teamer Charm, which is going to get in extra damage. You'll notice Oscar did not block Shu Yun, and he's going to take down that Kin-Tree Warden while the mana is low. And there's Highland Game to add to the board for Salvatto. So while they're relatively a parity, Salvatto's certainly creeping ahead. He's now, Dune Blast incoming, right?
Oh, man.
Isn't that what this means? No. Oh, okay. He actually just wanted to trigger Raid. That's funny. Twice! Oh, wow. I did not expect that. When I see attack like that, I'm like, all right, we're getting wrathed here. But it turns out he has 2 raid creatures in his hand.
It's really funny.
And can fire off both of them this turn.
I was going to say how this is one of those spots, like, yeah, your opponent's board is fairly good if you're Christensen. Like, Salvatto's got some sweet stuff on the table, but I still would not have felt, like, I wouldn't have felt terribly, terribly uncomfortable where I was. And this is exactly why, like, gets to cast a couple of cards and now is completely back in things.
Right. That was pretty great.
Yeah.
Double raid.
And that, let's see. So we've a couple of 2-power creatures and that Shu Yun on Salvatto's side of the table. Christensen's got a 4/4 and a couple of smaller creatures on his side. Things are getting back to that kind of dirtily mid-game game state that we actually see fairly often in this format.
Frontier Mastodon now for Salvatto, and it's actually not active either, so it's just a 3/2 here. Could have got a counter, but no Ferocious. So the boards are getting a little mucked up here. I don't think that we're going to see a lot of combat until somebody finds something, again, to break this relative stalemate.
And they both have cards. I mean,
they
we've
do.
Seen Salvatto has Barrage of Boulders in his deck, and Christensen has Doom Blast in his deck. I keep wanting to call the card Dane Blast, which is not inaccurate in this situation.
No,
but
it's not.
All right.
Christensen, interestingly, is on a 4-color deck, no blue. That's the color he decided not to play.
Yeah.
And Salvatto's trying to see if he has an attack of some sort here.
He does.
I guess he does.
Right.
He has to be willing to trade his Shu Yun here.
Yeah. Has he used that the Cunning Strike yet?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he used the Cunning Strike to set up that play with the Kin-Tree Warden.
Okay. All right.
It looks like Oscar's double blocking.
So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh no. Ethereal Ambush
From
give it double strike?
Wow.
Now does he get to trade here though? This is how much?
1,
5
2,
toughness?
3, 4.
Yeah, so he actually does still lose Shu Yun, right?
No.
Why, it's
because he gets to
4
kill
double
off
strike?
the 3/2. He's a 4/3 with the prowess
And
trigger.
then the 2/3s left? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That is how you use Shu Yun, boys and girls.
Wow, that was nice. He very patiently waited until he actually had the double red and then could cast something else with the other mana. In this case, it happened to be Ethereal Ambush, and
I love it.
wow, that's value.
Ethereal Ambush is my favorite
Wow, that was
card
a
I
huge
love the
swing.
most in this new set.
That was a huge. He got 2
Massive.
creatures and killed 2 creatures.
Yep.
For 1 card.
Yeah. Yep.
A 4-for-1? Like,
I know,
wow.
I know.
I can't count that high.
Marshall's in catatonic.
Yeah, there's a value explosion
shock, yeah.
here. I'm shaking. That was fantastic.
Oh, man. Yeah. All right, this is one of those moments when Christensen is going to be looking to the top of his deck to
Bail him out.
bail him out, exactly.
And Salvatto's had enough of this staring at each other nonsense as well. He's battling with the squad. And it looks
so
like
eight's
a
getting
nice
through.
attack here. Yeah, right now 2, 4, 6, 8 is coming through. Salvatto
Man, oh,
would
man.
lose the Mastodon in this exchange, but I think he can accept that. Let's see what happens here.
All right,
He is turning up an Alpine Grizzly, make it 10. He's 2 away from lethal. Is the other one, can it get flipped up? No. 4, 6, 8, 10. He can do 11 with the Teamer Charm.
not quite good enough.
Not good enough.
Yeah. He could have used it to do the falter, or basically stop the 1-1 from
Oh,
locking it.
all
Yeah.
lands for Christensen, nothing left in his hand.
Oh, man,
And
oh, man.
Luis Salvatto defeats him.
That ethereal ambush play.
That was sick.
Oh, man.
I think maybe he finally showed him the Dane Blast in his deck there, but you know, Salvatto actually had that covered as well.
Yeah.
He had the Teamer Charm to counter it, though. With only one more land, Oscar could have paid for that. All right, let's jump back over to our other match. We've got Lam versus K here, and where did all these guys come
I'm
from?
absolutely in love right now. There are so many goblins on the table. Oh,
Oh no! Citadel Siege. So Citadel Siege is one of the best cards out of the new set. It's a bomb rare out of white. It's an enchantment, and when it enters the battlefield, you have to choose cons or dragons. One of them lets you put 2 +1/+1 counters on your creature at the beginning of each combat. So every turn you get it, and that's right away.
that would be cons.
And the dragon side of things says that you get to tap down one of your opponent's creatures each turn. So you basically, whatever their best thing is, just gets tapped down.
Yeah, and one of those things where if you've got a reasonable board position, also known as anything on the board at all,
Like a 1/1 token.
yeah, cons is just going to run away with the game a lot of
Easily.
times.
Like if you're either at parity or anywhere close to it, you choose cons and just wreck them with any creature you have, like maybe 6 goblins.
Yeah, or a 2/2 flying hexproof
That's cloud
creature.
form, yeah. And that's flying hexproof. That thing is going to absolutely run away with this thing. Sagu Archer is not going to do a good enough job in just another turn here.
Yeah, it's got it for one turn, but
wow, Citadel Siege, so powerful.
definitely has it is a unique card unto itself. Like it's got a little, it harkens back to a few of the other cards that have been, you know, big in Magic's history, like martial law, your namesake.
Yeah, my namesake. That's
yeah.
me in the picture. Did you know that?
I did actually.
Yeah, that was me.
That's impressive.
The one with the armor.
Yeah, well, yeah, the one
Not
yelling
the one
at people
being
to
pinned
stop. No,
up
please.
against the wall or whatever.
Yeah.
God, this is interesting. Lamb, he just jump blocked.
Yep. The 5
Didn't want to
goblins.
take that 3 damage. I wonder if you just put them all in front if you're, you know, if you really care about that creature. I mean, I would just take it. I mean, sure, whatever.
That touch kills players, right? That's how that ability. No, it's not how.
No, that's a different one.
My mistake. Yeah. It's phage touch. I'm
Phage
sorry.
touch.
Yeah.
All right, and now here's an Obzon guide.
Which is not.
It's not a bad magic card.
Well, I've still got 4 1/1s in play. So.
By the way, here comes now a dragon-sized creature. It's a 6/6. And the Sagu Archer is going to jump in front while it still can.
I thought we chose cons, not dragons, right? Since when does cons make a dragon?
Yeah, well, it's a combo.
Oh, look,
Cloud
another
form.
dragon.
Wow, Riverwheel Aerialist hits the battlefield now as well, which is going to do a great job of gobbling up that Obzon guide if Kamui doesn't have something else
And then, I mean, just.
to interact. And even if he does, how in the world is he going to deal with that cloud-formed target for the Citadel Siege every time so far? That's just not going to happen, right?
Yeah, things are, they look grim. I would, for the sake of exciting Magic, love to be proven wrong in this, but it does not look like Kay is going to be able to pull anything out.
No, this looks significantly grim for Kay, which is pretty, it matters a lot. He's at 6/1.
Yeah. If he ends up losing this round and falls to 6-3 at the end of the day, he's going to have to rely on...
I think he's just dead here. Like, he didn't attack with his Obzon guide for some reason, which I think he needed to do here.
Yeah, let's run through things that could get him out of the situation. Route, is it in this format?
No, that
Okay.
one's not in this one.
All right.
I mean, he's going to have an 8-power hexproof flyer. Like, what?
Yeah, I don't have any idea. It's dead on board. I mean, we did say make them go through the motions, make them kill you.
Yeah, but I would
Earlier,
also
right?
prefer to gain 4 life from my Obzon guide. He's got to have something.
Certainly true.
Go to combat, he says. Just put them all on that thing and bash. Okay, he's going to diversify a little bit here, though. This does actually mean that it's not lethal if something gets in the way of the aerialists. All right, what is it? What was it that you had? Of course.
This isn't a card we've seen do ridiculous amounts
of
harm to opponents.
So that was going to buy him a turn either way. In this case, it gets to kill the aerialist, but it actually just would have been the same result here, which is that unless K comes up with a sweeper of some sort, which there are a few of now.
There certainly are.
He could cast End Hostilities, Crux of Fate. I could dream big and he could cast Ugin. Although no, Ugin...
Dune Blast would work right now.
Ugin actually wouldn't work. Yeah, Dune Blast.
Yeah, Ugin would... Oh, no.
Ugin would kill Cloud Form but leave behind the Manifest.
Exactly, yeah. Like, which is not...
So what would he do? He would do it for 4?
No, you have to do it for 3, because you've got to kill the Cloud Form.
Well, he needs to kill the Siege, too.
Oh, yeah. Man, now you... Because if you do 4, it kills your Nightblade.
Yeah.
Which is your way of blocking and killing the large Manifest creature.
Well, I mean, he would still have his guide.
Oh, this is a fun one.
Yeah, that would have been sweet. I mean, we're going down a rabbit hole here, but as reality sits, the guide is going to gain Kamui some amount of life here.
Yeah,
up to 12, but he is still way behind.
As they say, things look not good.
Not great.
So, Dune Blast, eh? We did talk about that as a way to get out of this situation.
Yeah, totally.
Turns out Kay's got one in his deck.
What? Oh, he just tapped 7 mana and
Why
it
would
wasn't
you do that
Dune
to
Blast. He's got a turn to draw it, though.
He does.
You know, with that in mind, I wonder if you even bother playing the Loxodon.
Sure.
It's not doing anything here. The only way you can win this game is by drawing your Dune Blast.
Yeah, but your Loxodon gives you a very fast clock to end. Like, the fastest clock you could have available to end the game is the one.
Okay, so you're just saying you keep that and you let your other 2 die. Is this it? Was it Dune Blast? Kamui has a legitimate out here, which is more than you can say for most scenarios.
Oh, man.
He is attacking with all 3, though. I think if he was going to Dune Blast, maybe he would just do it first and then only attack with the Loxodon, guaranteeing 6 damage comes through.
That is what I would expect as well.
Ooh, this is interesting. Look how land blocked. He just opened himself up to dead drop here.
Ooh.
He's at 20 life, and he just chump blocked a 4 power and is not punished.
Man.
Wow.